In the mid-21st century, humankind has reached the peak of technological achievements, creating powerful robots and artificial intelligence to combat worldwide problems and shortages. Unfortunately, in 2064, Faro plague struck, where self-replicating machines experienced a glitch and became unresponsive to human commands, and developed sentience and autonomy. The robots became alive. As the machines began to consume all life on Earth, a soul scientist, Elizabeth Sobeck, and her crew quickly started working on a resistance program called Zero Dawn. As they were running against the time, they were unable to stop the doom. The only other option was to clone everything and let it be rebuilt by an artificial intelligence called Gaia.
For every success, there are many more failed attempts.
After the Earth was wiped clean of everything. But before the end of the world in 2066, a narcissistic entrepreneur, Ted Faro, the owner of the Faro Company, shows his true colors and destroys all knowledge for future humans, rendering the work of Elizabeth Sobeck incomplete.
Are you telling me a swarm has gone rogue, Ted?
Then, nearly 1,000 years later, in 3021 on April 4th, a baby girl was found in front of large metal doors by the side of the Eleuthia Cradle cloning facility by local shamans called the High Matriarchs of the Nora tribe, who called the area
All Mother.
and a talking door.
The goddess.
The clone of Elizabeth Sobeck was born, and she was named Aloy. Her destiny was to save the world, to find her past, herself, and hopelessly fall in love with Erend, or Varl, or Alva, or Petra.
Does that mean that Aloy is gay? Let's find out. Hello, it is iRoxanneLady. Nice to see you too. So last year in September I picked up the most fulfilling game ever made, the Horizon Forbidden West. And although I was smitten by the graphics, the gameplay and the story, something was amiss. You see, the predecessor, Horizon Zero Dawn, ended with a clear indication of a romance between Aloy and Erend. But when I got to the end of the Forbidden West, instead of kisses and cuddles, Aloy gets a mere arm around her shoulder.
I'd be fine with a nap.
Needless to say, I was a little disappointed.
Throughout the game, whichever way you try, there is no way to see the real connection between Aloy and Erend, or anyone else. A lot of game characters try their luck with her, but nothing seems to blossom. The most confusing part was when Tilda was introduced into the game.
There you are.
As Tilda,
Feeling better?
one of the old ones, still alive 1,000 years later, because of the technological advancements, was a love interest of Aloy's mother, Elizabeth Sobeck. Now then, Aloy is not just an abandoned child. She is a clone of Elizabeth Sobeck. The scientist, a 99.47% DNA similarity clone of her. Aloy is Elizabeth Sobeck, reborn in the post-apocalyptic future. Does that then mean that Aloy has no love interest in Erend at all?
But how can it be?
You see, the more I looked into the Zero Dawn and Forbidden West games, the more confused I got.
Did Guerrilla, the game creators, try deliberately to confuse us? But why?
I know, it is just a game and this is a made-up story. But every other connection in these two games makes sense. Everything except for Aloy's love life.
So, I couldn't just leave it, could I? I had to find out.
So I have spent many months playing through both of the games over and over, just to find out the truth about Aloy and her love story. And it was at this precise moment of fighting against the final boss, about the 1,000th time, which, surprise surprise, is Tilda Vandermeer herself for some reason, when it clicked and I understood exactly what was going on.
Why here? Well, let me explain everything. You see, the biggest problem in the two games is that there isn't much information about Elizabeth Solberg. And that's alright, because the two games are about Aloy finding out about her mother, her past, and everything related to it. So we are not meant to know. But Aloy does dig out a lot of interesting facts about her mother, although nothing too significant about her love life, because Elizabeth, just like Aloy, is a very closed-in person who wouldn't easily share her emotions with anyone. And so, for Aloy, the story starts at birth, where she's born to a world that has no knowledge of the past existence of the human race as it was. To make matters worse, Aloy is not born into the world. She is cloned by the machines and left outside of the cloning facility for the local shamans, the high matriarchs, to discover and be frightened by the baby's abnormal arrival. Which some of them find to be a blessing,
Answer!
but most others fear and dread it as a bad omen and the work of evil.
We said nothing of love. Enough.
And so, Aloy is shunned at birth, seen as an outcast and forced to live away from the tribe, along with a caring stepfather, Rost, who has also been deemed an outcast for his own reasons. Rost is tough. There's a lot of love within him, but he doesn't show it, at least not openly. He's a man of a very few words and strong morals, but lacking in displaying emotion and kindness. Regardless, he wants the best for Aloy, and the only way he knows how to show it is to raise Aloy to be as tough, self-sufficient, and fearless as possible, so that she would have the best chance in life. This does have a toll on Aloy's personality though. Without a mother, she grows up to be a strong, independent woman in need of a love only a mother can give. And so, the search for her mother began. Relatively early in the game, Aloy meets a guy from the Oseran tribe, Erend. Erend is a charming vanguard chief who quite bluntly comes on to her.
I mean, you're smart. You're obviously capable, and, well, I mean, look at you.
But Aloy, being as stubborn as she is, stays focused and rejects him. For now.
What are you talking about?
Right now, she has more important things to worry about, as her priority lies in finding out the truth about her mother. Little does she know that in doing so, she would end up turning many heads and saving the world several times over. And although it seems as if Erend is the first person to get Aloy's attention at first glance, it is far from the truth. The first real love interest appearing in Aloy's life is not Erend, it's Varl. Another Nora brave who has a similar upbringing to Aloy. Varl is mysterious and very handsome. He has the strength and courage to fight anything on his path.
Am I seeing things? Or were you riding that strider when you came through the
and
gate?
has the ability to charm anyone with his words. And so, Aloy is obviously alert by him. Varl, though, has his own issues. He was raised by a war chief mother, Sona.
So you're War Chief Sona? Varl asked me to find you.
Has he held the gate?
Sona, his mother, is a cold and very goal-driven person. She doesn't stand for nonsense and mostly concentrates on her work. When kids, Varl and his sister Vala were constantly fighting for her attention and approval, which had a lasting negative effect on both of them. This leads Varl to grow up strong and independent, just like Aloy, but insecure inside, making him unknowingly search for motherly love, something that comes out later in the Forbidden West game.
That one was in your honor. Just saying.
Sure, Varl likes Aloy. Well, who doesn't? Aloy is beautiful, self-sufficient, brave, and focused on her goals, compared to the needy, unambitious couch potatoes who in general do not want to do much anything at all in their lives. Aloy is a catch. And Varl knows it. So he sets out for an adventure with her to see what, if anything, would blossom between them, along with the excuse of getting away from his mother. But Aloy is not his mother, and so the feelings between Varl and Aloy run from hot and cold all the time. But they stick together no matter what. But neither of them can lean on the other, as they both lack a basic understanding of love. It all changes when Varl finally meets his match, Zoe, a motherly Utaru who takes him in her heart and gives Varl what he needs: security and stability. This leaves Aloy very, very jealous. All the while, through both of the games, I think Varl knows from the beginning that Aloy is not for him, as Aloy's flaky nature is a burden on Varl's feelings. After all, Sona disappeared on him all the time too.
And there she goes.
Does he string Aloy along?
Mostly.
Maybe. After all, it is better to have someone almost as good than no one at all. Right? Wrong. The truth is that once you learn to love and respect yourself for who you are, you will realize that it is better to live on your own than with someone who makes you unhappy day in, day out. Doesn't matter how good they look, how the society sees them, or how successful they are. But to see that, you will have to go through the fake belief of having someone there just for the sake of it. It's a process. And I think this is what Guerrilla is trying to teach us, is that although the stories in a game are made up, the situations presented within them are taken from the real life.
People are suffering. Soon, they'll starve.
And since Aloy hasn't learned the life lesson yet, it doesn't stop her from dreaming and hoping, even after Varl's death. As she, once again, gets jealous when Zoe tells her news about her being pregnant with Varl's baby.
I'm with child, Aloy. I never got to tell him. To thank him.
Now the excuse here is lame, as a little while before Aloy did say thank you to Varl for his services.
And you, Varl. We couldn't have done any of this without you.
Right back at you, Aloy.
So this only confirms Aloy's feelings for him. But it's not just Varl that messes with Aloy's heart. Petra, another Oseram who bluntly hits on her in the Zero Dawn game.
Don't get me wrong, you're very well struck.
Do all Oseram flirt at the most inopportune times?
One could argue that Aloy likes the attraction. But Petra's role in Zero Dawn is minor, and so I was surprised to see her in the Forbidden West, once again bluntly trying her luck with Aloy.
Petra. I'm just passing through.
And once again, Aloy politely refuses the attraction. Whether she likes her or not is unclear. But one is certain, she is not meant to be in Aloy's life. The same cannot be said about the Sun King Avad, who is an important part of both games and so part of Aloy's life. Avad, once a lover of Erend's sister Ursa, now a lone, super rich bachelor, also confesses his love to Aloy.
But I need to know, when your mission is over, will you return to Meridian and stay? Long enough for us to spend time, to get to know each other properly, perhaps.
Here I have chosen to respond in an angry manner, but even if you take the loving option, the result is the same. Aloy rejects Avad more or less the same way. She has no room in her heart when the world is perishing from existence.
You really think I've got time to imagine holding hands and watching the sunset or whatever? Well, I don't.
Especially since the time between losing the love of his life, Ursa, and the new attraction, Aloy herself, is as short as there is with Avad. There's a red flag, and Aloy knows it. Better not to get involved. But there are two other people, other than Varl, whom Aloy seems to be very fond of, and one of them might even lead to something. Erend for one,
Damn straight.
and the other, Alva.
Aloy!
Alva is an uber chatty and sweet Quen tribe diviner. And right from the start, Aloy and Alva get along very well.
Oh, she's amazing!
Even Erend seems to acknowledge that.
I gotta say, I'm a little jealous. But I can see why you two hit it off.
And after a few missions together, towards the end, Alva gives Aloy the obvious body gesture treatment.
And you, a true reincarnation of an ancestor.
Yeah. Rewind.
True reincarnation of an ancestor.
Now then, Alva has a lover back at home, Federa.
Or losing Federa.
And although she seems to speak very highly of her, Alva also seems to admire Aloy a lot. So much so that instead of leaving at the end of the game to be with Federa, she stays behind. And compared to the other random acquaintances, Aloy seems to be far more interested in her than in any of the other people. Except for Varl and Erend, of course. Now, I am not entirely sure what you think of this expression of Aloy.
I do.
Is she interested in her, or is this Aloy accepting Alva as a true friend? We don't know yet, and there could be something brewing in the future. But, compared to the communication with Erend and Varl, I tend to lean towards the friendship option. But as Aloy goes through the missions and new discoveries of the two games, there's someone who is always behind the scenes, wherever Aloy goes, never leaves her side, and is always there for her. No, not Silence, although it seems to me that in the end, even he has a soft spot for her.
You can join me if you so desire. You've more than earned your place.
Just saying. But the loyal companion I am talking about is Erend. Right from the beginning, he notices Aloy's potential. But what he doesn't realize is how special Aloy is. Being about the same age and having a similar mental attitude, they click immediately. But Aloy is busy, and her goals are well beyond anyone's capabilities. Erend realizes that quickly and lets her be. But what is destined to be will be, as Erend is in need of help.
I'm asking you to help me, Aloy. I need to know who killed Ursa.
After a few missions together, unknowingly, their bond strengthens, until Aloy notices Erend and admits attraction.
I'll always have a minute for you. Maybe even two.
Two? Huh. She likes me.
But things are not easy for the two. Both of them need to go through some healing in order to accept each other. Well, Erend is a post-apocalyptic alcoholic, and Aloy has commitment issues. And here, in the most romantic conversation, in my opinion, you will see both of them finally talking openly with each other. Aloy finally apologizes, and Erend takes a seat back.
I was, wondering if you were able to lay Ursa to rest, like you wanted.
Yeah, we did.
Hopefully sober next time.
Yeah, don't count it.
They are entering a new stage of their relationship. They are learning to trust each other. When Varl arrives and unites with Erend, Aloy is in a heated discussion to get access to her path.
What's happening? The usual. Aloy wants something. People try to stand in her way. It's not gonna work.
Gates.
Guess who comes to help?
Reporting fire?
Yeah, I'm locked and loaded. Hey, nose off! You stupid bastard! Saving the world.
This there is a mutual understanding. Erend knows he has to wait until Aloy sorts herself out. And Aloy, well, she's got a long way to go. Later on, in the new base, Varl decides to invite Erend to join them.
Erend, you're all better. And you're here.
As I said before, he already knew what these two lovebirds did not know. And so, Erend stays there, learning, waiting, and ready to help. After Varl dies, Erend finally sees an opportunity. Not that he is glad that the competition has died. After all, Varl was his best friend, but you can see a hint of relief in him.
Yeah, don't worry about me. I'm just, picking up the pieces like everyone else.
He knows that now Aloy will have to let go, whether she likes it or not. And she does. They start spending more time together as Aloy sees she can trust Erend. And little by little she starts accepting him. She even tries out one of his ales. And so, by the end, she is nearly ready to accept him into her life.
I'd be fine with a nap.
Excellent idea.
And this is what the hug is there for. It is not the end of a love story, it's the beginning of a lifelong commitment. I must say, it is very cleverly written by Gorilla. But, how about Elizabeth then? Aloy's mother. After all, Aloy and Elizabeth are nearly 100% identical clones. Is it only Tilda that Elizabeth is smitten by, or is there someone else? One that strikes out to me is Travis Tate. Quite obviously a lot younger than Elizabeth. He's blunt and straight to the point. He wants to have some naughty time with her.
Ooh, boy! I tell you, Liz, what I just done gonna make you love me.
But Elizabeth is not into anything this shallow, so it doesn't matter how hard he tries. And trust me, he tries quite a bit. It is not happening. Elizabeth is focused on something else, and she has standards.
All I did was just script a couple of avatars, a little you, a little me, to deliver our message of doom, real personal-like.
Would you just send it?
As soon as it's done compiling, then you and me should celebrate. I brought party fixins, pizza rolls, absinthe, a couple of hacky sacks.
I'm heading back to Bryce as soon as this is done.
Color me confounded, Liz. How is it that someone like you, a paragon, damn near saint, could love this world so damn much, but no one in it? I mean, have you ever even had a friend?
Compile complete. Data file, Baron Promise, ready for transmission.
If you would, please.
Logic bombs off. Here it comes, far Z-nuts.
Just keep being the best at what you do, Travis.
Always admire you from afar, Liz. Swear my mama's grave. And she was religious.
But on a more serious level, there's someone whom I think had a huge role in Elizabeth's life. Someone who admired her from afar, or maybe even had something hush-hush going on between them, and later resulted in disastrous results. And that is Ted Faro himself. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Ted Faro hated Elizabeth. Even Aloy confirms that.
But they hated each other.
But did he, really? You see, in real life, there are two types of love expressions: verbal and emotional. After all, the feelings come from within and often cannot be explained. You see someone and you know you like them, but you don't understand why or how. And I can see that happening between Elizabeth and Ted. The way they talk to each other. There must have been some feelings involved.
And whatever you recommend, I'll do.
I'm gonna hold you to that, Ted.
Almost like a comic connection. Something that was meant to be. Maybe they didn't even know what the other person was thinking, but I have a feeling they knew they had a connection. You know, when you're at home watching TV and you can feel someone behind you watching you. Well, the same goes with love. Let's say it's been a tough day. You're tired and all you need is a little bit of rest. When suddenly, that special someone is in your head. And they won't go away. And it feels almost like they are there with you. But they're not, of course. And whatever you do, you cannot get them off your mind. And then you start questioning your sanity. You think you're going crazy. Whereas in reality, there's something a lot more incredible happening. Love is a projection of feelings, where you give and where you receive. And what you are feeling there is the other person thinking of you at the same precise moment in time. The feeling is mutual. Because if it wasn't, you would not be able to feel this way. Not that intense, at least. There are 8 billion people in the world. Do you feel the same about every single one of them? Or is it just the one person? Think about it. We cannot control other people. What they do, what they think, what they feel about you. So that moment when you feel them with you is when they have chosen to think about you. It's a privilege, and you should take it that way too. And I don't care if the person has a hairy back, 3 eyes, lives on the dark side of the moon in a royal family and the last time you spoke to them was last year. If the feelings are happening now, then they are thinking of you right now. It's happening right now. So, stop being a dumbass. You know where the phone is. Just make sure you have the right phone number. Or message, or messengers, or whatever you use. Emails, messages, whatever. Just do you. Do you. You do you. Anyway, back to Elizabeth and Ted. If you look at the conversations the two have, it is always respectful and even caring, even when they disagree with each other. You can tell they have spent a lot of time together, being that Ted automatically offers to get some snacks when they meet again, years later.
Perhaps we could have lunch brought in, you know.
But just like Aloy with Varl, the feelings are not expressed. And just like Aloy, Elizabeth is very flaky, and her only obsession is to save the world, and she has no time for love. And it could be just that why Ted Faro turns out to be one of the most self-centered human beings in the Horizon series. He was rejected by Elizabeth, but didn't understand that he had to change for the better, not for the worse. Which resulted in him sabotaging a lot of Elizabeth's work, half accidentally and half out of spite, turning him into an angry, living vassal, surviving 1,000 years in his own prison.
Liz's future. Liz's children. I just need some time for the mutations to calm down. Some test of their reacting and give me what I need to grow strong again. To get my shit back together. So I can greet the kids. They're gonna need me. My advice. My guidance. And then I won't be alone anymore.
Trust me. You don't want to go in there.
Are you mad? I haven't come all this way to stop now. At last, Pharaoh's legacy is mine. Is that?
It's him.
Burn it to ash.
Wait, no.
So, was Ted Faro the love interest of Elizabeth? No, I don't think so. At least not for Elizabeth.
In Horizon Zero Dawn, Aloy finds a memorial for Elizabeth Sobeck, containing 3 holograms, or holomessages. One from Ted Faro, one from Travis Tate, and one from Charles Ronson. Ted, being himself, leaves a message of gratitude.
Hell, Liz. I know you're never gonna hear this. That's not the point. You got to play the savior and the martyr all at once this time. Great work.
But you can tell he cannot say much more as his reputation is on the line. After all, he was the one responsible for the disasters on Earth. Travis Tate, though, being his usual self, a cocky youth, expressing his admiration once again, but having some sort of beef with Charles Ronson.
Look, Liz, you're a pretty stand-up gal. I'm sorry you died. If you had a home to go to, I hope you got there first. But this monument Ronson's made to you? Kinda creepy if you ask me. Rest in peace, Liz. God knows you earned it.
Which would only confirm what I'm going to say next.
You'd hate it, Liz, but I wrote you a eulogy. I had to try to express all your children. After all Apollo has taught them, they'll think they know everything. But they have to understand what you did for them. How you loved the whole world so much. With an intensity that was dazzling. Bruising. And in the end, it killed you. Or you died for it. Different perspectives. No one could keep up with you, live up to you. I don't know, maybe if I hadn't taken that postdoc in Joburg. I'm glad you shot down the Lightkeeper protocol in the end. I don't think I could have taken seeing another one of you. I mean, Elizabeth Sobek. There's only one. I miss you.
Why is Charles Ronson here? Out of all of the people Elizabeth was working with, together with Travis Tate and Ted Faro. As we know, Charles Ronson was in a relationship and was planning his life together with another male biochemist, Tom Pike.
Evacuation happened so fast. No time to think things through. No time for goodbyes. There were lines in the medical ward. I told Tom Pike I'd be with him when he went under. But there was one last shipment of Paradis-Sadie zygotes I could get processed if I rushed. I'm still angry at him for forcing me to choose. Angry at myself for... Well, he died alone. And I didn't get the bloody birds of paradise saved either. All the time left in the world now to think. Gaia Prime's logs are sealed. Elysium sealed up, safe and sound. A distance of miles, but it might as well be on the other side of the galaxy. All the betas and gammas and support staff living their lives. If I hadn't been an alpha, if things had gone differently, I could have been there. Instead, I'm spending the rest of my unnatural life in here with people I don't even like. And without the one I would have gladly spent my life with. Given the chance. 2 hours since I signed off on the final executables, and I'm already a bitter old man bitching to his focus. There's a thought for future generations.
So, why did Charles Ronson leave Elizabeth a eulogy? I believe it is because, as I explained before, love is not something that you can control. It just happens. And more often it is more intuitive than verbal. And although we all try to fit people in boxes, life doesn't work that way. From what you can hear from the eulogy and the story Gorilla has portrayed for Aloy in synchronicity with her mum, Elizabeth Sobek, I think Charles Ronson to Elizabeth was just like Erend is to Aloy. Someone who was always there, a shoulder to lean on, quietly in the background, waiting for his time. That unfortunately never came. You see, maybe Charles Ronson wasn't what it seems at first. Maybe he and Elizabeth were intuitively very similar. They loved people, regardless of their gender, and they loved the world around them. So I think there must have been a bond that even they didn't understand.
See you around.
Yeah. Take care of each other, all right?
Liz.
I'm okay with this. I want to go home. Goodbye.
Or maybe they did and never told anyone. The world ending and all.
That was the last transmission of Elizabeth Sobek.
And don't forget, Elizabeth and her team created Gaia, the artificial intelligence that would one day, in the future, recreate life. So why wouldn't Elizabeth want it to be perfect? Of course she would.
Causes me to experience a grief that is difficult to describe. Am I malfunctioning?
No, Gaia, you're not. This is good.
You see, for post-apocalyptic people, the gender-based love does not seem to exist. Everyone's equal and everyone's allowed to love whomever they like, which would explain their relaxed attitude towards each other and everyone. I also believe this was enhanced when Ted Faro decided to raise all knowledge for future humans.
They're the cure, and we're gonna give them the disease. Our disease? No, we can't. And it's not too late.
But with that, he also erased the negatively biased view towards gender, religion, and race, letting the future humans create their own beliefs and truths.
I did it 3 minutes ago. I've purged Apollo. It's gone. All of it. Every copy.
A sacrifice? It's not a sacrifice. It's cultural obliteration, you crazy bastard.
And this is where I believe Ted finally went mad, after losing Elizabeth and so. But how about Tilda? How does she fit into the story? You see, to me, the whole idea between Elizabeth and Tilda seems a bit off. Tilda is one of the old ones who survived 1,000 years in a Sirius system with a bunch of like-minded no-good people. And because of technological advancements, she's one of those immortal people. Before leaving Earth, Tilda found herself falling in love with Elizabeth, as she clearly explains to Aloy.
It was more than that, wasn't it? Perceptive as ever. You're right, we were together for a time.
But something tells me it was one-sided. You see, Elizabeth and Tilda started hanging out together a lot, each for their own reasons. But as time passed, Tilda wanted more, and Elizabeth wanted less.
I filled a void for her. I know I did. But as time passed, it seemed as though she wanted less, when I wanted more.
I think what happened was that Elizabeth saw Tilda as a good friend at first, a helpful and useful friend. But it soon turned out that Tilda was anything but a trustworthy friend, and she was in it for her own gain. Tilda is obnoxious, self-centered and narcissistic by nature, and her idea of love is taking everything Elizabeth gives and returning nothing back.
You may not approve of our plan, but what if we're the only ones to survive? Don't you want us to have Apollo to remember our common past, our mistakes?
But love, by its own nature, is about giving. Of course you need to receive it too, but if you can't give, you should not be calling it love. Tilda doesn't have this mentality, and Elizabeth sees right through her. Whether Elizabeth is gay or not is unclear. Whatever it is, one is certain, that Elizabeth loved all people and the nature around her. She wanted to share her love for everything and everyone.
Hello, I'm Dr. Elizabeth Sobek. Thank you for completing the Vista Point tour. I hope it's given you a better idea of the work we do at Miriam Technologies, but more importantly, why it is so critical. As you've seen, life is fragile. And as my mother once told me, it needs our support, our care, and our love to survive. I hope this message, which is the core of Miriam's mission, means as much to you as it does to me. It does, Elizabeth. Thank you.
And Tilda ended up using her. In the end, Tilda blackmails Elizabeth to give her a copy of Apollo.
I'm begging you.
Fine. You'll get your copy of Apollo.
Thank you. Let's speak again before...
Goodbye, Tilda. Time to let go. Elizabeth sounded sad at the end. I think this was personal.
And yes, there's some regret after the phone call, but is it because of Tilda, or is it for someone or something else? The whole essence of Elizabeth is her dedicated approach to her work. She created Gaia to save life. So why would she not regret giving it away to someone she does not trust? Whatever it is though, Elizabeth will have to let it go.
What if it was all for nothing? Elizabeth, extinction was inevitable. Thanks to you, life will have a future.
And it is one of the few recordings where you can see the real feelings within her. But whatever happened, happened, and at the brink of extinction, a group of self-centered people decided to flee to the Sirius system to return again 1,000 years later.
If their ship departed Sirius at the same moment the extinction signal first began transmitting, the journey was made in just 29 years at an average of 0.297 the speed of light.
During a transit back, they create another copy of Elizabeth, Beta, who is supposed to help them regain power on Earth by accessing a copy of Gaia. But Beta is no Elizabeth, and Tilda realizes that quickly. Doesn't matter how hard she tries to connect with her, Beta is broken.
I don't, okay? I thought of every possible reason that would make her leave, but whatever I did wrong, I don't know what it is.
Who has not been treated fairly. But instead of helping Beta, Tilda, once again, decides to flee instead.
I'm sorry I had to cut off contact, but I'll never regret sharing this house with her.
Talk about love, right? But then she meets Aloy, who is almost identical and even better than the old Elizabeth.
Liz was everything she was. I see in you. And more.
And so, there's no wonder Tilda is automatically drawn to her, as the past feelings towards the old Elizabeth emerge, by pretending to help Aloy in her mission.
Having seen it all, I want is to help you.
Even if it means stopping your friends?
Especially so.
But the truth soon comes out. She wants to have a second chance with Elizabeth, with Aloy. But even 1,000 years have not changed her narcissistic and obsessive behavior. Tilda knew she messed up in the past, and now she is convinced the only way to get Elizabeth back is to manipulate and force Aloy into submitting to her.
I loved Elizabeth more than you could ever know. And I let her stay behind to die with the rest of humanity. A mistake I have regretted for 1,000 years. Now she stands before me again. Not some inferior copy, but her best possible self. So I'm not asking. You're coming with me.
You can't force me, Tilda.
What a mistake to make. And so, at this precise moment, Aloy is fighting a war on behalf of Elizabeth, for all life on Earth and for herself. Elizabeth has evolved within Aloy, and Aloy is ready to take on the next chapter of her life by leaving the old one behind, which is obviously not going to be easy, as a new and even more challenging trouble is heading towards them, the Nemesis, a collection of hateful people's feelings that will try to destroy everything once again.
There's another battle ahead, Elizabeth.
But as Aloy says for herself, she now understands something that others knew all along.
My friends have a new mission. To spread the word and ask for help. They've taken it in stride. I think it's because they've always known what I've only just started to understand.
That Aloy is strong and independent. She can take on more than anyone else, get out of situations no one can. She's a person anyone can lean on. And so, Aloy does not need anyone in her life to help her or to survive. She's got everything within herself. Aloy is perfect as she is, and so she can love whomever she wants, even if that one is a clumsy, post-apocalyptic alcoholic Erend, because it just doesn't matter anymore. And as Aloy says, because for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm not alone. She's surrounded by people she cares about, down to her own hard work. So, the answer to your question, is Aloy gay? In today's sense, she's probably a little bi, but in a post-apocalyptic sense, she's a free person. She can love whomever she wants. And from what I see, Aloy has chosen Erend. But time will tell, as I guess the next Horizon whatever game will be the best one yet, mark my words. And maybe, just maybe, we can see the real love blossoming between Aloy and Erend. Let's hope so anyway. And that's it. If you made it this far, share a like and leave a comment on what you thought of this. Maybe you have different ideas towards different people. After all, this is my idea, my projection of the story. And of course, if you're new, subscribe, I really appreciate it. I am now back to YouTube, not as frequently as before, but whenever I get something meaningful or fun to say, I will post. Just expect it to take a little time, because good videos take time. Good things take time. It has been a journey for me too to make this little, well, long video. Few months to be precise. But I think it's been worth it. But for now, something fun for you to listen. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye!
I got into a brawl. Was a thief. I've given every ground to his card. You can find his courage. Worth it.
Stay in chance, great. Brother! As soon as barely lights rebuilt.
Ignoring the from my apron to the forge I'm bound. Ever to the end, I'll make my forehead bound. But who are all these folks here waiting around? Now I'm not sure it was worth it.